Hey, what's going on, ladies? So, your girl here forgot to start the article first. So, give me a second while I post this in the Authentic Collective. Yep, I am judging how you spend your money. That is the name of this one. And so, the title, um, may or may not be catchy to you, but guess what? I'm putting it in there. So, 1 second, and I'll be right with y'all. Let me post this bad boy. And so we're going to talk about money because it's important. Okay? So, we're going to put this under finance. So we're in this crazy situation, right? Life is doing what it's doing, and different people are feeling different effects because of what's happening with coronavirus. And so while my business is not like, OMG, suffering, I can feel the effects of it a little bit because, for instance, I had a client that could have renewed a contract as a one-to-one, but she didn't because it's going to be a pretty steep a pretty steep call for her to be able to afford that. I've had some people that have said they, want to invest, but they are fearful because of what their current situation is. And I'm not here to judge that, but I am here to judge how you guys feel about how you spend money. So bottom line is I had a conversation with a client. Ooh, that's not good. I was trying to get my light better. I had a conversation with a client and I'm like, okay, I don't need you making emotional decisions with your money. And so I was like, how does this whole situation make you feel? I was asking her about different things because, whenever you need when tragedy hits and you need to move and or you need to buy a car or some other kind of major expense, but then you also were like, oh my God, but I still got to pay my bills and I still got to feed my kids. And, I have these things I have to pay for my business. You can find yourself scrambling and being like, okay, well, what do I do? And at the end of the day, they say don't make decisions when you're angry, but I just say don't make decisions when you're emotional either, because you begin to do things and they become very impulsive. And so, in the conversation we were having, I was like, okay, now let's just look back. And so I gave this scenario because, like, I'm like, a person could be like, yeah, well, when I go buy my kids stuff, I go to the dollar store. But yeah, you go to the dollar store 2 or 3 times a week and you might have bought a whole bunch of stuff for $1, but you spent like $13. And so I literally did the math real quick. You do 33 times 3 times a week times 52. It was like $1,716 or something like that. And I'm like, so what would 1,000? It because let's just be real. I know a lot of people are always talking about 5K month, 10K month, 20K month, stuff like that. Some of you are happy just to make a few $100s or a couple of $1,000s in your business. So let's just have a real conversation where you are. And I think that's something that's hurting a lot of entrepreneurs is that people are having these conversations that are way up here when they'll tell you that more money doesn't solve problems, but they're not talking to you about what you're doing with your money when it's down here or here, but not all the way up there. And so, while we were having this conversation, and, I'm like, yeah, since working with me, this is what happened with your income. This is how much money you're making. And so, you could have had a more significant stash right now than you do. But those little questions I was asking you about your money and your savings and stuff like that, you were like, I got it under control. I got it under control. And you didn't step your game up. See, I know that this individual didn't step their game up with either investing or saving or whatever they were going to do, but they did step their game up with their lifestyle because they started eating out more. They started buying other things more. They started appeasing that Amazon, I can't stop shopping here more, those kinds of things. And so one of the first things that came out of this individual's mouth, because this is what we do, we automatically we always want to have our stuff together. And who wants to embarrass yourself? And they were like, no, because when I met you, my business wasn't doing as good as I wanted to. And so you did help me make a lot more money, but then I was paying bills that were behind, and I had to get caught up. So even when I made more money, it was like I still made the same amount of money because I was catching up on old bills. And so this is why I called this video, Yep, I'm judging how you spend your money, because I immediately said to her, cut the crap. I already understand that. But you can't tell me that you didn't spend money frivolously because you went in for Christmas for your children. Now, look, I understand we all have to live by our own code. But this is the thing that I want to challenge you all. One of the ladies is even speaking about this in my summit. One of the issues with us is that we don't want to embarrass ourselves. Okay. And when instead of us talking to our children about the things that we don't know, we have a tendency to want to talk to our children and then make ourselves look good. So instead of having a candid conversation and saying, look, here is Christmas. We're already behind. This is what it looks like when you run a business. Mommy was running a business. This is when it was going good. I kind of lost some clientele. This is when it looks like as I'm building it up. You know, you do things like that and you talk to them about the actual experience and then tell them, okay, so Christmas is just another holiday. I can buy you something at any given time. And so you could teach them not to think like the rest of the world. But if your concern was to make sure that they got what they wanted for Christmas, you kicked it the way you wanted to kick it for New Year's Eve, and then you tricked off cash when you got that income tax check, because some of y'all are still getting income tax checks back, even though you're self-employed. Then right now, right here in this moment, does it matter that it's a conspiracy theory? Does it matter that the government may have, dropped the ball and didn't do what they were supposed to do? You can't, it is hard, right? It is very hard to say, no matter what happens, I'm going to go hardcore introspective and say, what could I have done differently? And no, this is not about beating yourself up. This is not about feeling bad about the decisions that you made. But if you should have gathered anything from this moment in time right now, it should be to say, how could I have handled my finances better so that when this situation came around, I was okay? Yeah. Because if you were a real student of your business, then you understand the ebb and flow months. That's what I did when I was a young girl. When I was a young girl, I noticed that from January to September, I made a lot of money doing hair. The beginning of January, it was slight slow, but people that got their early income tax checks towards the end of January, I had a lot of people that only came to me once a year. They got their hair done by me and spent a few $100s. But then the other part of the year, they went ahead and paid their niece to, do their little kitchen do. In the summertime, I really, really boomed because I specialize in braids, and a lot of sisters did not want their hair looking unkept, and they still wanted to be fly while they were working out. But in the wintertime, because the humidity was gone, they like to enjoy their hair, and they spent a whole year with me with it growing. So I realized that there was an ebb and flow in my business. So what did I do all of those other months from January to September? I made sure that I don't care if it was anywhere between $10 or $50. This is what I was doing. I was 19, 20, 21, 25 years old. I paid extra money on my utilities so that when the wintertime came around and I didn't make as much money, my lifestyle never changed. And so these are the little bitty things that you could be doing with your money that could truly, truly change the way you're experiencing recessions and other things that happen, inflation in the economy, because you're a good steward of your money. And I'm really saying this, especially to, my brothers and sisters. Why are we so easily trained? We got to keep on thinking about all of the money that we circulate through the economy. We circulate enough money in the economy. We keep on hearing the statistics. We can be a small country, not even a small country, a large country. But if you don't start curbing the way you use your funds and start talking to your children, you're going to find yourself in a bigger hole. Because what's begun, look, I'm not going to get into the whole set of conspiracy theory conversations, but what has begun will continue. There's going to continue to be shifts, and a lot more jobs are going to be lost while jobs are also being created, and while entrepreneurs also need to step into their path, because there needs to be a shift. See, us entrepreneurs, we've been living off the fat of the land by being able to start businesses with minimal to no overhead, by doing what we do online. But these major corporations, think about all of these brick and mortar businesses. I love Toys R Us. I really don't like buying toys online. I love Toys R Us, but where is Toys R Us? Think about all of these other stores that are gone because covering the lease for the land, the taxes, the utilities, the housing, the employees. Look at all of these jobs now that were afraid to embrace technology. Well, now what they see what they have to do because of coronavirus, not only are they going to see what they can do, they are going to do. See, what's been happening in the employment arena for a long time is that they've been trying to minimize costs. Why do you think so many jobs now offer part-time positions? Because they're trying to evade paying as much for benefits. Why do you think they did the whole turnover turned up things upside down many, many years ago with the way that they were offering insurance? Why are so many jobs now hiring independent contractors? See, when I moved to Houston back in 2014, you could have never told me when you said UPS and when you said FedEx in St. Louis, that meant a truck was coming to you. I can't tell you how many white vans were purchased in Houston because the FedEx warehouse is actually just a field of independent contractors who do delivery services for them. Me and my husband, our eyes were opened up to other industries just by moving to another state when we first began this journey going where we're going. And so, but if you're an independent contractor, they're not liable for anything. You liable to fulfill those tasks and make sure you have all of your stuff together. And so I want you all to really think about it. Like right now, while some of you all literally are afraid of how long is this gonna last? How long will the money that I have last? Some of y'all don't have any money to last. You paid your bills, and because you robbed Peter to pay Paul, or you where you at, you don't have any money or any reserves in the bank, and you praying and you pleading like, God, please give me another client. If that's the way that you're living and you're afraid that you're going to have to go back home and live with your mama or do anything else, don't you think that now it's time to relook at what your priorities are? The way that you handle your money, it's not about scarcity mentality, it's about stewardship. And so that's that blurred line. That's that blurred line. When people start talking to you and you start saying, yeah, I'm not going to spend money here. I'm not going to do this. Well, you working hard, you doing this. And you need to have an abundance mentality. It's money everywhere. Okay. But just because there's money everywhere, it doesn't mean that you're supposed to squander your funds. And so, no, I'm not saying that you're supposed to be, extremely frugal and that you can't enjoy anything, but I am saying that you should use wisdom. And so, if you can go to the store and spend an extra $20 on something that you don't need, then surely you can go and say, I have a stash. Start small. I got $20 that I could save over here, and if I can go to the store and I'm supposed to have a list when I buy my groceries, and I had it in my mind that I was only going to spend about $150, but instead I ended up spending like $180 because I kept throwing the bag of chips and the cookies and all of that other stuff in there. Well, if you can spend an extra $30 every time you go into the grocery store, then you can set aside $30 to save. Or you can split it. Do 15 on junk and 15 on stashing. You know what I'm saying? Saving $30 a week. Literally saving $30 a week for an entire year. You turn around. Do you realize how much money you have? You have $1,500. Put on a calculator. Do the math. I pull mine out just to make sure my brain on point. Yeah, do 30 times 52. $1,560. And so if you guys have the ability to save more than you give yourself credit for. Now, please understand, I understand that we can talk about money mindset blocks and all of that stuff, but the first thing you have to do is at least admit that you are irresponsible as hell with your money. That the way you feel right now has more to do with the fact that you didn't do what you were supposed to do with the money that you had, especially when you had that big burst in your business and you were living high up the hall. I talk to women all the time who make irrational, emotional decisions with their money. And so if that's you got to raise your hand and say, I need help. Then you can start getting into your money story and doing the work and all of that stuff. So that's all I wanted to come out here and talk to you all about. I love you all. Let's do a QA check and make sure we're doing right by the money that we get. All right. I'm out of here. This is